Welcome to MMA Under 10. I am John Strasser.
And I'm Alex Giuliani.
We have returned from our hiatus, and let's just start off. We sincerely apologize to Fight Magazine. They obviously know what they're doing by having everyone on their staff pick Cain Velasquez. And, you know, that's why they get paid for it. We just do this in my basement.
I think Lesnar took a dive and they knew about it. That's what happened.
Either way, we've licked our wounds and we're back at it. This weekend you got UFC 122 free on Spike TV over in Germany. And I think originally they had planned on making it a pay-per-view, and then they realized they're not going to sell any pay-per-views. So,
yeah, because Marquardt Okami is the only appealing fight on that card, and it's really not that appealing. No,
it is definitely interesting. You know, the winner's going to get a title shot against the winner of Anderson Silva and Vitor Belfort. But, yeah. It's one of those foreign cards where, you know, it sucks for you guys that you're going to go see it live. This is the best you get. But it's free for us, so I won't complain. There are some exciting fights on the card. Alessio Sakara versus Jorge Rivera. And Dwayne Ludwig is fighting. So there are some things to look forward to. Again, it's free, so you can't complain about that. Next weekend, you got UFC 123, which is a little bit more appealing. You got Rampage Jackson taking on Lyoto Machida, both coming up off of losses. And who do you think takes that fight?
Well, I hope, for Machida's sake, I would hope Machida. I mean, I think Machida is definitely a more dominant fighter as far as the division goes. I think, I don't know, it's tough to say though, because, I mean, Rampage didn't look terrible against Rashad. Like, he definitely held his own. I mean, it went to a decision. At the end, he almost knocked him out,
right,
which, you know, that says something. But I do think Machida is a more talented fighter than Rampage.
I think if Machida sticks to his game plan, which he's pretty much done every fight, he should be able to frustrate Rampage enough and exploit him. Yeah, and
Rampage has already said in an interview that I think I read like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he's already said that he's not going to change his game plan for Machida. So that's, I mean, if you know Rampage, that's pretty much he's going to just rush him and throw punches, which anybody who has fought Machida and done that knows that is a terrible, terrible idea.
Unless you're Shogun. So
unless you're Shogun. Well, that wasn't really.
Also on the card, you got the rubber match between BJ Penn and Matt Hughes.
Yes.
BJ won the first one. Matt Hughes won the second one after BJ separated a rib or whatever he wanted to say about it. I'm not done being a fan, but I'm done being emotionally invested in it.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as he lost the fight to Matt Hughes back at UFC 63, you know, I was like, oh, well, if they ever fought again, BJ would destroy him. You know, and now here it is, 2010, that was 2006. 4 years later, and I am pretty confident that Matt Hughes wins this fight. You know, he's looked great in his last couple fights. Has BJ Penn looked great?
No, he's looked terrible, but he was facing the same opponent.
Yeah, not since December he looked good.
He was facing the same fast, young, and, you know, just, you know, he's one of the fastest punchers out there. Or not punchers, but he knows how to stick and move. And Penn doesn't know how to, you know, fight that strategy, really. And I think he's fought Hughes before. Hughes isn't really changing his game plan. He's going to try to wrestle.
Did he try and wrestle against Ricardo Almeida? No.
He got lucky as hell against
Ricardo. He is a UFC Hall of Famer. There is a reason he's in the Hall of Fame.
I'm not saying he isn't, but the caliber of fighters that BJ Penn has been fighting and the caliber of fighters that Matt Hughes has been fighting are on a totally different level. Lately.
Okay.
I mean,
when was the last time that BJ actually looked good fighting at welterweight, though? You got to take that into account as well. He's moving up.
Oh, he's moving up?
Well, yeah, Hughes isn't going to drop to 155.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
So you got fat BJ Penn versus Matt Hughes. So
fat, unmotivated BJ Penn.
Also on the card at 123, you got Joe Lozon versus George Sotiropoulos, and I don't really understand why they're matching Joe Lozon up against Georgie, because he was basically in line for a title shot, and it's almost like, no disrespect to Joe Lozon, a step back for George Sotiropoulos?
I don't know. I think Joe Lozon's he's becoming a more popular fighter for the brand. I think a lot of people know Joe Lozon like just because of the Ultimate Fighter and because they like his personality and you know the style of fighter that he is. So I think that's why probably the main reasons.
Yeah, but I don't. It's definitely more beneficial for Lozon in this fight.
Yeah.
You know, if Sotiropoulos loses this fight, and, you know, all his momentum's gone.
Yeah.
And he's losing to somebody that's, you know, just 1-1 in his last 2 fights.
Yeah.
And his one victory was against Gabe Rudiger, and that almost doesn't even count. So, you know, it's one of those fights where I like both guys and I like to see them both win.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the case.
Unless there's a double knockout.
And then everyone wins. So, we've already hinted on it. The WEC is going to be merging with the UFC starting next year. They've already started sprinkling in fights. You got Leonard Garcia fighting on the Ultimate Fighter finale.
Wow.
They've already said that the winner of Anthony Pettis and Ben Henderson will fight the winner of Gray Maynard, Frankie Edgar, to unify the lightweight championships.
That's awesome.
Is there any way Ben Henderson does not end up the UFC lightweight champ out of all of this?
I don't know. I think if you beat BJ Penn twice, you're pretty damn good. So, I mean, I like Edgar. And plus, I've seen Henderson fight, but I'm not that familiar with him just because I'm more of a, I don't watch UFC that much, or WC that much. So it's good they're merging for me.
Great. This guy is the reason that had to happen. It's the reason those fighters only get $10,000 bonuses. You know, everyone wins in this situation. You know, we've been saying how the discrepancy in the pay is just outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, finally those guys get, you know, more exposure, so they're going to get more money as far as sponsorship goes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, also you just get a bigger payday being in the UFC. So it's awesome for that. You get to see, you know, Jose Aldo, who is, you know, always on the top of the pound-for-pound list. And
do you think he moves up and just... I think this is the best chance of there being someone holding 2 titles at once. Especially when you think about Jose Aldo.
Well,
I think he might move.
They're saying they offered him Kenny Florian and he turned it down, saying it's not good enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm okay with that. Kenny Florian, you know, lost his last fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, if Aldo beats him, he really should beat him.
Yeah.
But if he loses to Kenny Florian, then it's you know.
And yeah, I do think Aldo, you know, does have some, you know, he does have a right to refuse that fight just because, you know, and not just because it's his opinion, but I do think he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters out there. You know, I think I've hinted in the last episode or I talked about in the last episode that he ranks himself behind Anderson Silva as the number 2 fighter in the world. So, and I think there is a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of, you know, so he can pick and choose what he wants, I guess.
Yeah, he really can. So that's going to happen early next year. So the last time we talked, we're glorifying Brock Lesnar, and he is now lost, and he is calling out Roy Nelson. Do you think that's a good matchup for him? Because I don't like it.
Well, if Roy Nelson is anything, he is a amazing puncher. And when you defend punches like this, that you're not good against an awesome puncher. You know, that's Roy Nelson's, that's his thing.
They need to put him up against somebody with pillow hands.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you see how he does not accept being punched in the face.
Yeah. And we already know, I don't know, because he can't really wrestle, and we know Roy Nelson can take a beating. I mean, he took it from,
Dos Santos.
Dos Santos, yeah. He took it from Dos Santos pretty good. I mean, so Lesnar's not going to knock him out.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know.
You know, it's an interesting fight, but it's funny how now I would think Nelson would win, whereas if you had brought this fight up before 121, I'd have said, you know, he didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
So it's funny how the tides turn after one round where you can't defend your title. Yeah. We are hopefully back for more frequent videos. This has been MMA Under 10. I'm John Strasser.
Alex Giuliani.
Boom.